also super old school. I still like writing things down. A lot of these ingredients I only know in Korean. When I see the English, it's like, oh, that's what those are.
Restaurants and bars play a pretty vital role in community.
When you learn a different language, they say like, oh, you learn the curse words first. Yeah, but when you learn a culture, you learn the food first. Food is a great language.
The Gerald is a cocktail bar. I took this place over in 2018. It became more of a gastropub style, fries and popcorn and deep fried mac and cheese, February of 2020, we were 40% up above February of 2019. We're all very excited about it. I think January, February, right around then is the first time I actually started saying to people, like family and close friends, like, hey, I think I finally got this. I think I figured this out. And I think I survived the most volatile times. During this time, we're learning about this thing called coronavirus. I'm talking to my parents in Korea, and it's a big deal. And then March 15th, Sunday comes, and we were doing brunch, and we had 2 customers. So I say, okay, let's go home. And then it just kind of came crashing down. I'm up in the morning and I don't know what to do. Just looking for a way to then again convince myself that the work that I had put in wasn't for nothing. I just started having cravings for Korean food all the time. It's like a cliche thing. So what do you revert to? Where do you seek comfort you're not getting in day-to-day life anymore? All the childhood and all those memories just came back. It was like, bam.
These guys right here, I remember when I was a kid, stores used to sell this because they're individually packaged inside, and you could get 1 pack for 5 cents back in those days. And that was like a big deal.
Yeah, I just, started eating differently, started, thinking differently. I started thinking, well, if I'm going down, I'm going down the way I want to, Yeah, we went back to the drawing board. Let's build this menu from ground up. It is now officially a Korean restaurant/cocktail bar. I left Korea at a relatively early age. I was 13. When I first came over, the grown-ups in my life would constantly tell me, make sure you don't just hang out with Korean kids at school, because then you won't learn the language, you won't really learn the culture. Being like an Asian person in Seattle area, I've been asked many times, people just going, well, oh, do you work for Microsoft? It's like this assumption of well, people who are from where you're from, or people who look like you, tend to do these things. Sort of by default, people are going, well, are you going to do Korean food? Are you going to do Korean food? I don't want to be what people just expect me to be. As a minority person in this country, I got to speak for the culture. The more I think about it, the more I process it, because I had so much time to do that. You start to think, well, was I conditioned to run away from my identity? We don't have to mess too much with what has literally thousands of years of tradition behind it. I felt like my culture wasn't getting the credit that it was due. There's more to Korean food than Korean barbecue. There's so much more. And I gotta find a way to kind of show that off. The thing that food does for us, it evokes certain feelings. I think, I learned to embrace my story better and, my culture better. Now, more than ever, I feel like this is mine. I refuse to just sit here and say, oh, I can't wait for the new normal to come back. I can't wait for that. Life and lives have been altered, forever, because of, what we've been through this year. I learned how to stay motivated and driven and ambitious, when everything is against you. If you look back at history, there are a lot of moments that I imagine that people of that era would have felt like they were moving backwards. But we look back on it now, and really, did we ever move backwards?